It's AFA Today on AFR Talk. Kevin McCullough, glad you're with us. Coming to you from New York, the Freedom Tower, the shadow of the Freedom Tower, and just next to Trinity Church, the historic cemetery there. Alexander Hamilton is buried just steps from where I am, and that big famous bull that is charging up Wall Street, and it's just steps away as well as the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. So if you ever come to New York, and someone wrote me a couple of weeks ago and said, Kev, we're going to be in the area. Can we come see the show? Absolutely. KMCradio@gmail.com. If you ever do, we've got more than enough places to have, a couple dozen people around. But we're glad to be with you today, and so thankful that you're willing to obliterate confusion, amplify truth, and pursue clarity as you think through what's going on in our country today. And a lot of people are still talking about Bergdahl. There's still plenty to talk about as it relates to him. But I didn't want this story to go unnoticed because I believe it is just, I think it's important. And I think it's important that we take action to alert Congress to the idea that we're not down. We're not down with them using humans as chess pieces, pawns, if you will, to kind of execute their agenda against we the people. And that's what Governor Jan Brewer is concerned about here in these last few days. The federal government has taken illegal aliens that have come in from other parts of the country, and they have dumped them on her state without her knowledge, without telling her that they were going to do it. And then when she finally got wind of it and said, hey, what are you doing? They said, yeah, and we got a lot more of this to come. 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Your thoughts about the administration's actions here. Let's talk to Marie in Oklahoma. Hi, Marie. Welcome. Kevin McCullough, glad you're with us.
Oh, hello, Kevin. I'm so thankful you're taking my call. I am, and I thank you so much for what you're doing. I'm a legal immigrant. My husband is a retired soldier. Two of our three sons are veterans. I live outside of Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and it's a military base. I guess it's a big fire center, artillery center. And on the front pages of our paper, the Lawton Constitution, either Friday or Saturday, we were given the news that the military facility, the military barracks, are supposed to expect to receive between 600 and 1,200 illegal immigrant youth, and they're going to be housed in the military barracks. So the militaries, and of course our governor, Fallon, did not know about it either. And I know my representative, Tom Cole, in Congress, did not know about it. He had a statement to make about it.
Marie, I'm sorry, I missed that. What are they going to use the barracks for?
To house between 600 and 1,200 illegal immigrant youth coming, and according
and they're going to put
those.
They're going to put those on a military base.
Yeah, housing them in the military barracks, and they are supposed to expect them possibly the 10th of June, which is very close to now.
Yeah, tomorrow.
So, and they have no way of doing anything, and of course, our president is the commander-in-chief for the military. So we're having a new general who just came in last week, General Rossi, replacing General McDonald. So they're going to obey the orders of their commander-in-chief. It touches me personally because I am a legal immigrant. I met my husband overseas. My mother was Belgian, and I had to go through classes, and I learned about the Constitution. I learned about the way of government. I learned how this was supposed to work. And I pledged an allegiance also to the country. I worked for the Department of Defense for 24 years as a civilian, and my husband is a retired Army soldier. Now, to us, we know what it means to be an American.
You sure do.
Those people don't know. These people those children, they're youth, but they're coming here, and supposedly they're going to try to place them with in foster families or families that are here in the United States. And I can't understand how they can find the funds because the military base is funded with our taxpayers' funds.
Yeah, and obviously, Marie, the problem that you're pointing out, and thank you for your call, and thank you for your service to your country that you weren't born in, but that you became a part of, and for your husband's service, and for your patriotism, for your love of America. I just appreciate you for all of those things. But obviously, your situation points out another problem, and that is executive power using, in essence, resources that they deem are at their disposal for whatever they jolly well please. And I'm wondering where appropriations comes into this, because at some point, you're right, stuff has to be paid for. And the question of appropriations goes to Congress. That's a John Boehner question, 202-224-3121. I think we need to ask Congress a lot of questions about how all this stuff is going to be paid for, and why the president's being allowed to just willy-nilly dump these folks anywhere that they see fit. 202-224-3121, 202-224-3121. That's the number to the congressional switchboard. You can talk to both your senators and your congressional representatives there. But you can also speak to House Speaker John Boehner's office and say, if this is an appropriations issue, if this is a spending issue, how is the president just randomly picking a military barracks in Oklahoma, Lawton, Oklahoma, different locales in Arizona, just dumping people? How is he paying for the gas? Like, I want to know how the buses are getting gas put in them. Who's paying for that gas? You and I are. But who's signing off on it? Who's saying this is okay? Who's saying this is are they doing it through the military? And is this a vital needs and interest to protect the interests of the United States? I don't think so. And this is where there's no questions been asked. We're going to ask those questions. We have a right to ask those questions. They're spending our money. They're spending the money that you and I are trying to provide for our families with. And I think it's vital that we ask those questions. So, again, John Boehner's office is 202-224-3121. When the operator answers, just say, hey, would like to be connected either to your congressional representative or to John Boehner's office, and ask him to hold the president accountable through his measure of appropriations, what he will allow to be funded and what he won't. And they can cut off funding for this stuff. They can say no more dollars for that, period, boom, gone. They hold the purse strings in the Congress. 202-224-3121, 202-224-3121, if you'd like to call your congressional member. Okay, let's go to, and Marie, I do thank you for your call, powerful call. Let's talk to Kay in Mississippi. Hi, Kay, welcome. You're on with Kevin McCullough. Glad you're here.
Yes. I wanted to ask, I'm sure you've probably read the book Rules for Radicals, A Practical Primer for Realistic Radicals, Saul Alinsky.
A long time ago, yes.
Yes. It really, everything he's been doing, the president has been doing, it's very clear in this book. He's got a plan. And there was, as you remember, he fed a bunch of people, disadvantaged people, beans before he sent them to the opera. It's his way of getting back at people. And it sounds like the same thing that's happening in, Arizona and Texas. Yeah. Same kind of thing.
It sure does. I mean, it seems so sinister the way he's using these people. These are human beings, and he's literally using them to extract his vengeance upon Jan Brewer and the state of Arizona. And few people will remember this, but Eric Holder actually said that when Arizona began to make trouble and not go along with things, and they went into court and they were fighting, he actually threatened Arizona and said, we're not done with you yet. A lot of people don't remember that. There is a belief that there's layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of vengeance that is sometimes doled out. And that appears to be, at least I think in part, what this is. 888-589-8840. I could be wrong. Explain to me how I am. Let's talk to John in Michigan. John, welcome. You're on with Kevin McCullough. Glad you're here.
Yes. Mr. McCullough, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, John.
my comment is, I've been hearing about these Mexicans coming over the border for many, many years. When I was growing up, we didn't have that problem. The Mexicans was coming over, doing the work, sending the money back to the parents, to the kids, or they went back home themselves when the season was out. But up in Michigan, there's two farmers, Kevin, who does hire Mexicans. Last season, they had to let their crop go bye-bye. They had to send the crop to the dump because their crop, the potatoes and the vegetables and stuff.
John, what's the point of all this?
The point is, it wasn't for them, some of the farmers wouldn't have their farms no more because they are the ones who get the job done for the farmers. We don't. They do. And we let it come in. Long time ago. In the 60s, they started coming in.
So again, John, what's the point? Are you saying that we shouldn't control our borders? We shouldn't narrow down who's coming into the country?
Well, my point is that should have been done in the 60s. If we didn't want them here, the first place, we should have put a gigantic
John, just because
wall.
somebody didn't fix a leak in a roof in the 60s doesn't mean that you don't still fix it in the year 2014 if it's still not fixed. Damage is damage, and the more that it leaks, the more damage is going to be done.
That's right. But what I'm going to say is, I just heard a few minutes ago that the government or the president, whoever it was, told the Border Patrollers, stand down, back off, go and hide and seek so you won't get killed.
Right.
Well, my theory on that, I don't blame them because the drug cartel, there's two of them, two gangs, they got more powerful weapons than a Border Patrol does. And all
right, John. Well, I appreciate the call. The problem with all of that is it just makes us weak, feckless, cowardly to protect our own people. There's no man lands already in southern Arizona that the bottom 30 miles of Arizona, from the border to 30 miles north of there, all the way across the state, is a lawless piece of country. And the president won't send anybody. He won't send reserves down there to keep the peace. Arizona's struggling with trying to do it with the resources that they have. But the problem is the cartels are coming over. They do have powerful weapons, and we're not allowed to engage them. See, I don't think the way you stop wrongdoing is by letting the wrongdoers do it more. I think at some point you got to stop the leak, and you have to tell the people that are coming up to come into the country, hey, we are a nation of immigrants. We have always been a nation of immigrants, but we're going to ask you this question very politely. You see this big long fence? Instead of climbing over it right here, we want you to go down to the end of the fence where that nice little gate is, and show us a few pieces of information. And make sure that you're not a terrorist, and we have the right understanding of who you are and why you're coming. And if it's because you want to pursue citizenship, then let me see what you've done along those lines, and then come in through that. Don't climb fences, don't sneak under tunnels, don't burrow your way through drug channels. Go down to the end of the fence. Now maybe a couple states away, but go down to the end of the fence where that crossing gate is. Show the right information, follow our laws, we welcome you. This is not the way to do it. And then once they're in the country, this is where what President Obama's doing today seems very, very sinister. Texas is apprehending them even after I told them to stand down. So we're going to take a bunch of, the people that they want to turn around and deport, and we're going to move them to Arizona, and we're going to dump them on Jan Brewer. And evidently, according to Marie, in Lawton, Oklahoma as well. 888-589-8840. Let's talk to Byron in Indiana. Hi, Byron. Welcome. You're on with Calvin McCullough.
Hi.
Byron?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, I've just got, I guess, a comment or an observation, probably, with, listen to your show and others, and with this situation in Arizona and Texas, and our president letting, 5.
Byron, someone keeps pushing buttons on your telephone. Is that you?
No, it's not me. But anyway, this seems like the acts of our president have been to undermine our country and to weaken our country with this situation in Arizona and with the deal he's trying to make with the Pacific Rim countries and
letting the terrorists go and not standing up for our ambassador in Benghazi and running guns in Fast and Furious. Yes,
Yeah.
a whole long list of things.
So is it just me, or is it my paranoia, or is he actually trying to weaken our country? Does he have an agenda to undermine the United States?
I think it's impossible to argue that he doesn't. And I haven't always been that harsh about it, but I am now. I believe, again, personally, speaking for myself, I'm not saying anybody else believes this or should. I'm just saying when you see a hashtag on all my Facebook posts that say impeach Obama, now you know why. I held off for the longest time, but last week I am of the opinion it is now time to pursue that, especially if the Republicans can take the Senate in November. I think it's time to impeach him. I think it's time to convict him and send him home. He's done the damage that he came to do. It is time to begin undoing it, and we can't do that as long as he's still in office. Kevin McCullough, glad you're with us. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. We try to obliterate confusion, amplify truth, pursue clarity on AFA Today here on AFR Talk. See you next time.